200 million Americans just got slammed by the deadliest winter storm in over 3 decades. More than 100 people are dead right now, and that number is still going up as we speak. And here's the part that should honestly terrify you. Another massive system is already forming and heading straight for the exact same cities. Look, I'm not here to sugarcoat this or give you the same watered-down version you're getting everywhere else. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what happened, hour by hour, why so many people didn't make it, and what's coming next. If you're anywhere near Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro, the DC Metro, or Northern Virginia, you really need to stick around for this one, because what I'm about to lay out could genuinely save your life, or the life of someone you love. So let's rewind and talk about what just went down, because this wasn't your typical snowstorm, not even close. Between January 23rd and the 26th, a bomb cyclone ripped across the United States and touched roughly 2/3 of the entire population. Now, if you don't know what a bomb cyclone is, think of it like a weather system on steroids. It forms when barometric pressure drops at least 24 millibars in just 24 hours. And this one did exactly that off the East Coast. But here's the kicker. Instead of weakening like most storms do after they peak, this thing just kept intensifying. It didn't just hit one region and bounce. It spread its reach from the Gulf Coast through the deep south all the way up to New England. We're talking heavy snow, sleet, and record-breaking freezing temperatures all happening at the same time across a massive chunk of the country. And the combination of all that wet, heavy snow, plus winds gusting 50 to 60 miles per hour along the coast, that's basically a recipe for a cascading disaster. And that is exactly what we got. All right, let me hit you with some numbers here because this is where it really sinks in how insane this storm was. Charlotte, North Carolina got buried under 11 inches of snow, the biggest snow event that city has seen since 2004. Faust got absolutely hammered with 22.5 inches, and Lexington saw 16 inches pile up. And it wasn't just the Carolinas either. Charleston, South Carolina broke a daily snow record that had been standing since 1977. Now here's the wild part that most people are completely sleeping on. This storm didn't just break records, it shattered them by margins we haven't seen in 35 years. Down in Florida, and yeah, I said Florida, temperatures plunged to levels not seen since 1989. Miami recorded 35 degrees Fahrenheit, which was its coldest morning since 2010. Let that sink in for a second. And in Daytona Beach, Melbourne, and Vero Beach, all-time daily cold records were completely obliterated. We're literally talking about a tropical paradise turning into an icy landscape in less than 48 hours. But honestly, the numbers and the records, that's not even the worst part of this whole thing. The worst part is what happened to real people, real families. When this storm hit and the power went out, picture this. You're sitting in your living room and the lights flicker once, twice, and then everything goes dark. Your house starts getting cold fast, and within a couple hours, you can literally see your own breath inside your home. That was the reality for hundreds of thousands of families across at least a dozen states. And for some of them, it stayed that way for days. At its peak, roughly 191,000 customers across the South had zero electricity, no heat, no lights, nothing. In Mississippi alone, 56,600 households were sitting in the dark. Tennessee had 44,100, and Florida had about 26,000. Local utilities in Tennessee and Mississippi are calling this one of their worst ice events in decades. And some rural areas, and this is the part that really gets me, they're being told to prepare for several more days without any power at all. Now, let's talk about the thing nobody wants to talk about, but everybody needs to hear. According to CBS News, at least 100 deaths have been directly linked to storm conditions or weather-related accidents. Other tallies are putting that number above 110, and officials say it's still climbing as more reports come in. In New York City alone, at least 14 people died during the cold spell, 14 people in one city. The mayor confirmed that hypothermia played a role in at least 8 of those deaths based on preliminary findings. And the causes are heartbreaking hypothermia from exposure, car accidents on icy roads, snowplow accidents, even sledding accidents. There were sudden cardiac emergencies linked to people shoveling snow, which is something a lot of folks don't realize can literally kill you. Medical examiners across the country are still documenting cases as families struggle to stay warm during those extended outages. Behind every single one of those numbers is a real story. Patients dying in unheated homes. People stranded after their cars slid off icy highways. Folks literally succumbing to the elements while just trying to get somewhere safe. I want to be real with you. This is not hype, and this is not exaggeration. This is a legitimate historic disaster. All right, real quick. I need your help with something. Drop your city and state in the comments right now. Tell me where you're watching from, whether you still have power, and what conditions look like on the ground where you are. I'm reading every single comment, and I'll hit you back with specific info about what's heading your way next. Thousands of people are already doing this and getting real-time updates. So don't sleep on it, type your location now. Now here's the part that honestly keeps me up at night. Because this wasn't just a bad snowstorm, it was a triple disaster. We saw power grid failures, transportation network collapse, and emergency services stretched beyond capacity, all happening at the same time. On the transportation side, Charlotte Douglas International Airport basically shut down over 800 flight cancellations on Sunday alone. Across the country, more than 2,800 flights were canceled on Saturday, and another 1,800 on Sunday. Passengers were straight up stranded, with multi-day delays on both domestic and international routes. In Buckton, a house along the coast was completely washed away by surging waters on Sunday morning just gone. Coastal flooding caused 2 to 4 feet of inundation along the Outer Banks, and the National Park Service reported dozens of houses sustained damage. Over 1,000 collisions happened on North Carolina roads alone, resulting in at least 2 fatalities from car crashes. And here's something that really puts it in perspective. Even the emergency responders were struggling. In Onslow County, North Carolina, fire crews had to respond to a structure fire at a vacant home on Pony Farm Road in the middle of freezing temps and heavy snowfall. Firefighters got dispatched around 8:41 p.m. and arrived to find flames and heavy smoke showing, all while battling brutal winter conditions. It took around 30 minutes to get the fire under control, and fire departments from 5 different agencies had to show up for a single scene. Think about that for a second. When your emergency responders are struggling, every single person in that area is in danger. So right now, the whole region is in this really difficult recovery phase. And honestly, the progress has been painfully slow. Utility companies have managed to bring those nationwide outages down from peaks above 200,000, but progress is super uneven across the board. Governor Josh Stein of North Carolina has been warning residents that black ice is still a serious risk throughout the entire week. The state transportation secretary urged people to stay off the roads unless it's absolutely necessary. And honestly, that's solid advice right now. Snowplows and emergency crews are still working around the clock, clearing roads from the south all the way up to New England. Some school districts, especially in parts of North Carolina and upstate New York, have had to extend closures or switch to remote learning. Buses literally can't safely reach neighborhoods, and power outages are still messing things up in a lot of areas. Emergency managers are saying the next few days are going to be absolutely critical as they try to restore power and stabilize communities. But here's the question that nobody in an official position wants to answer right now. What happens if another Arctic blast rolls in before the recovery is even close to being done? All right, this is where things get really important. So if you're in any of these areas, listen up carefully. The National Weather Service is already tracking another system. And here's what the models are showing right now. Northern Virginia and the DC metro area could see 3 to 5 inches of snow by Wednesday, and Montgomery County could push towards 6 inches. Now for my folks in Charlotte, you guys just got buried under 11 inches, and you're still digging out from round 1. If the Friday system materializes the way models are currently projecting, Charlotte could legitimately be looking at round 2 before you've even finished cleaning up. Raleigh and Greensboro are in a very similar situation. The Friday track puts both cities right in the potential impact zone. Imagine spending several days digging out from a historic storm and then getting smacked again by another significant system before you can catch your breath. For the folks up in New England, Massachusetts residents already started bracing for what forecasters are describing as potentially a second bomb cyclone event. Lake effect snow warnings have been issued through Thursday night for Buffalo, Syracuse, Watertown, and Rochester. Those areas could see 1 to 2 additional feet of snow on top of what they've already got, which is absolutely nuts. New York City needs to stay on high alert too. Nighttime temps in the metro area are dropping to single digits. For the Midwest, Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis wind chills are projected to stay near 0 or below for the rest of the week. Nashville and Memphis aren't out of the woods either. Tennessee just had 44,000 households without power, and another cold snap could push the grid past its limits again. Atlanta should be paying close attention too, the last time a system like this tracked south. Atlanta got caught off guard, and it was chaos. And for the Gulf Coast, this is honestly one of the wildest parts. Nighttime temperatures are dropping into the teens and 20s as far south as the Gulf. That kind of cold in areas that aren't built for it is genuinely dangerous, especially for older folks and young kids. The National Weather Service has warned that this could be the longest duration of cold in several decades across the entire eastern half of the country. Quick question for everyone watching. What city do you want me to break down in more detail in my next update? Drop it in the comments because I'm putting together a follow-up with specific forecasts for the areas you guys care about most. Over 5,000 people have already commented their locations and are getting personalized updates. So get in on that while you can. And seriously, if you've got family or friends in any of these areas, send them this video right now. They need to see this. All right, let's zoom out for a minute because this bomb cyclone exposed some serious weaknesses that officials have been warning about for years. Power grids that buckle under the weight of ice and wind. Transportation networks that fall apart when major hubs shut down. Communities in both the South and the North that are still nowhere near prepared for extended stretches without electricity and heat. And look, scientists and climate analysts are careful with their language on this stuff. And I want to be careful too. No single storm can be blamed entirely on climate change. That's just not how the science works. But this event fits into a pattern that experts say is becoming way too familiar. More frequent extreme events with stronger temperature contrasts. We're seeing heavier bursts of precipitation when storms do form and wider geographic impact zones than what we used to get. The bottom line is that whether you call it climate change, weather patterns shifting, or whatever label you want to put on it, this stuff is getting worse. And the infrastructure we've got right now in a lot of these areas simply was not built to handle events at this scale, back to back. Okay, so here's the part that literally nobody else is covering yet. And this is the reason I made this video. Meteorologists are tracking another Arctic blast headed southward, and it's expected to arrive by the end of this week. If the Friday system materializes the way models are currently showing, we could be looking at a genuinely historic stretch of winter weather. Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro, and the Virginia cities would need to be on high alert for round 2. And the timing is the worst part. These areas haven't even finished dealing with round 1 yet. Roads are still being cleared. Power is still out in some neighborhoods. And schools are still closed. Now, layering another major winter event on top of that. That's when you go from a bad situation to a potentially catastrophic one. For the Northeast, the concern is compounding snow loads on roofs, trees, and power lines that are already stressed from the first round. For the South, it's the prolonged cold. These are homes and buildings that weren't designed for days of below freezing temperatures. Pipes bursting, heating systems failing, and an already strained emergency response getting pushed even further past its limits. Every hour without heat is a medical risk for elderly residents, young children, and anyone dealing with chronic illness. And that risk doesn't go down over time. It actually compounds and gets more dangerous the longer it goes on. So let me be real with you. If you're in any of the areas I've mentioned, here's what you should be doing right now. Charge every device you own tonight, because if the power goes out this time, you'll want your phone alive. Get your flashlights, batteries, and any backup heat source ready. Don't wait until the snow starts falling to figure this out. Stock up on water and food that doesn't need cooking, because if the grid goes down again, your stove might not work either. If you've got elderly neighbors or family members nearby, check on them today, not tomorrow today. And if the officials say, stay off the roads, Do yourself and everyone else a favor and actually listen. Those 1,000 collisions in North Carolina didn't happen because people were being careful. They happened because people thought they could handle it. All right, let me give you the quick rundown of everything we've covered, because there's a lot to process here. At least 100 deaths confirmed, and that number is still climbing as more reports come in from across the country. Over 160,000 customers are still sitting without power as we speak. Approximately 200 million people were affected by this single weather system. That's 2/3 of the entire country. Charlotte saw its biggest snow event since 2004, and Florida hit its coldest temperatures since 1989. And another Arctic blast is headed south this week with potential for a second major winter event by Friday. I'll be tracking the Friday system hour by hour, and we'll have a full detailed update by Wednesday or Thursday when the models give us better confidence on the track. If you want those real-time updates, drop your location in the comments right now and tell me what area you want covered next. Share this video with everyone you know in the affected areas seriously. They need to see this before the next wave hits. I'm not going to lie to you, I genuinely hope I'm wrong about how bad this next system is going to be. But based on what the models are showing right now, I don't think I am. This is not hype. This is not clickbait. This is a historic winter event, and it might not be over yet. You've got the information now, and what you do with it from here is completely up to you. Stay safe out there. Look out for each other, and let me know in the comments. What changes do you think your community needs to be better prepared for the next one? Because if this storm taught us anything, it's that the time to get ready is before the snow starts falling, not after.